Well, all we can say is, oh my, you never leave a race at Talladega until the checkered flag waves. This thing was anybody's race all the way until the end. We had a late race restart, and now we have a very improbable winner in victory lane after just 4 starts in the Sprint Cup Series. Brad Keselowski is a winner. Hello, everybody, and welcome to NASCAR Victory Lane on Speed. I'm John Roberts, by Jimmy Spencer, Kenny Wallace, and I don't think we believe what we just saw. An absolutely incredible finish. The best thing to say, though, is that Carl Edwards and everybody else at Wreck today is okay, and Brad Keselowski is a very improbable winner.
Spence, and race fans, let me just say something. Brad Keselowski can stop running the Nationwide Series. He no longer needs to do it. This is something that propels your career into stratosphere. Keselowski quit the Nationwide Series, straight to Cup. Of course, I'm kidding, but that's the way it is.
Well, the thing is that, you know, I got to relate back to last year. Tony Stewart and Regan Smith, same identical scenario. Regan Smith decides to go below the yellow line. He doesn't win the race. And I said it last year. Regan Smith needed to hold his position. Fans, look here. Regan Smith, if he holds his position, no. What does he do? He goes below the yellow line. In turn, NASCAR has no option but to take the win from him, give it to Tony Stewart. Back to today. Brad Keselowski says, hang on a second. NASCAR says, if I go below this yellow line, I lose. Brad Keselowski held his own. Carl Edwards was trying to win the race. I'm a fan of everybody in NASCAR. Bottom line here is, he was forced into that situation, and he ends up, here it is. He says, you know what? I'm not going no lower. I can't, Carl. And unfortunately for Carl, he gets the bad end of this stick, but you know what? That's Talladega. I love this racetrack. Thank the good Lord. Nobody got hurt. But damn it, it was a good race.
Spence, I got to tell you, I cannot agree with you anymore. NASCAR mandated this yellow line. We said there's a time coming that nobody's going to turn left. Brad Keselowski, the first driver in the history of our sport to say, I'm not going under the yellow line. Jimmy Spencer, very well put. Document this. This is going to be one for the history books because he kept the wheels straight.
And this is for you guys to say when we go back there, but it looks like on that video that we saw, it looks like Carl Edwards was trying to block as he goes down on the lower side of the racetrack, but it was Brad Keselowski that held his line. He had a couple more feet to go before he was down on the yellow, but he held his line. Hey, so he won this thing fair and square.
He did, and you know, Ryan Newman, very hard hit for Ryan Newman. You know, him and Junior together have a shot at winning this race also. But you know, the thing is, fans, is that Keselowski could definitely lift. There's no question in thing. Brian could roll out of the throttle. But you know what?
Look at this again.
We're racing here for the last couple hundred feet.
Okay. Here goes Keselowski in the 09. He goes to make his move on the final lap. He
99 comes down a little bit.
Wheels never moved. Do not go beyond the line. And this is what finally happens after 10 years of do not let the car force you below the yellow line.
So that is a Hendrick Motorsports car that was purchased by James Finch. They put Brad Keselowski behind the wheel, and here's what happens.
Well, and I think what's cool about this whole scenario is finally a multi-car team doesn't win in NASCAR. James Finch, you know, here's a gallant effort by this guy. He's been racing short track, dirt racing his whole life with Purvis and the whole guys. I drove for him in the yellow car. We've won races, but you know what? James, good job, buddy.
And you know what?
He did what he was necessary. He went and bought what was necessary. But you know what? His home team out of Spartanburg. Good job.
And guess what? Now Brad Keselowski's in the All-Star race.
He's in All-Star.
Hey, yeah! Next, what, couple 3 weeks?
And let me point out something, and I really mean this. I know I always say, hey, look at me. But you guys got to agree with me. There is total stunned around. This place is dead quiet right now. Nobody can believe what happened. They can't believe this kid won. Listen, hold on, everybody quiet for me. Listen. It's dead silent. It's eerie because somebody won the race that was not supposed to. This is incredible.
Anything can and will happen when you get to the last lap at Talladega. It's the nature of the beast here. And when we come back, we're going to talk to a very improbable winner, Brad Keselowski, obviously one of the happiest young men in the country right now. We'll be back at Talladega to break down all the highlights in just a moment.
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge, Recreate, Hibernate, and brought to you in part by KFC. Stop on Monday, April 27th for a free piece of new Kentucky Grilled Chicken.
Now here's what you call the icing on the cake. 25-year-old Brad Keselowski has just won his first Cup race, and there's his mentor and Nationwide Series team owner, Dale Earnhardt Jr., coming over to give him a pat on the back and a congratulation. In just his 5th Cup start here at one of the toughest tracks anywhere, Brad Keselowski has now joined the ranks of Sprint Cup winners after a very, very dramatic finish. Who knew it was going to happen that this young man from Michigan was going to be able to drive to the front among NASCAR's best? Let's take you back in time to the green flag when it waved under very hot conditions under sunny skies here in Talladega, Alabama on the 9th race of the season. And here we see green flag in the air, and the field is just getting up to speed as we have some of the best in the business up front here. Greg Biffle on the outside of row number 1, and we're led to the pole for the first time ever by Juan Pablo Montoya in the Earnhardt Ganassi number 42.
At this time, you're thinking, okay, guys, let's log laps. No, let's go 3 wide right away. You know, I mean, look at this race, fans. Here comes the 88. The stands are going nuts. They're screaming and hollering. We are 3 wide on lap 1, lap 2.
Martin Truex Jr. got out there in front, didn't lead right away, but also was looking very strong, and a little push from Denny Hamlin put Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the front and put every fan on the stands, in the stands on their feet. But guess what happens next? On lap number 7, all heck breaks loose.
Yeah, you know, here it is, Johnny, awful early in the race, and this looks to me like just too aggressive driving, Kenny. You know, 3-4 wide racing here, and you know, here's another look at it, fans. Look at this, 4 wide to 17 to 24. That's just too wide. Too many cars trying to get into a small area.
You know, Jeff Gordon is wondering, how did I get 4 wide? He was 3 wide. Let's look at the, okay, there's Matt Kenseth. All of a sudden, Jeff is 4 wide, really doesn't know why he's 4 wide. It just happens because Matt goes low. Jeff is there. The 71's on the outside. And here we go, some more views. I mean, just the bottom line is, look, they're 4 wide.
Tremendous amount of cars. Mark Martin hits the wall hard, to 71, to 24, to 17. Just, you know, so many cars. 13's in this wreck. Here we see Harvick in this wreck. John Andretti, the 5 car there, Mark Martin. Just a tremendous amount. Here's some inside camera looks. This is what these drivers are going with. Bam! You know, fans, these guys are running 190 mile an hour. Not a whole lot they can do at that point.
Out of the 14 cars that were in this wreck, half of the top 12 in points, 6 of the top 12 in points were involved in this thing. You see Kevin Harvick, Jamie McMurray going for a wild ride. Your points leader, Jeff Gordon, was out of this race very early, and of course, he is the guy that was the winningest active driver.
Oh, wow.
And there you see a hard hit for Casey Kane. He had to pack that thing up and go to the house after that. They worked hard to try to get that back in, but watch the skillful driving, as always, by Jimmy Johnson, the 48.
Yeah, you know, Jimmy Johnson does a great job here. Just lucky. Gets on the bottom of the racetrack. He just misses Elliott Sadler. Wow, as a driver, you say, thank God. You do not believe the anticipation, and all at once when it comes out, the relief that you made it through.
Let's go in car with Denny Hamlin as he made his way through on the tail of Dale Earnhardt Jr. It was a mess. Let's hear from some of the drivers who were involved.
I thought everybody was using their heads pretty good. I mean, it was a little bit of aggressive driving, but you know, everybody's jockeying for position here in the early laps. Obviously, looking back on it, you know, I got squeezed and didn't have anywhere to go. But looking back on, maybe I would have done, you know, something a little bit different. But you know, I saw an opening, went for it, and it closed up in a hurry. I think somebody got inside of Matt Kenseth, and he came up, and there was just nowhere for me to go.
I was on the bottom, right against the bottom, running the bottom groove, and I saw out of the corner of my eye a little bit of smoke and you know, looked like a car sideways. So I knew that, you know, the wreck was happening, and my biggest hope was that we would pass before it, you know, came down the hill. Certainly wasn't any opportunity to slow down. And somebody on the outside of me, you know, had to come down because they were crowding him down, and it turned me around, turned me head on into the wall.
I mean, it's so easy to run 3 and 4 wide. Why wouldn't you? You know, I think if everybody just went out there and ran single file, there'd be nobody in the grandstand. So it's hard to say what to do or not to do, but it was perfectly fine. And then just one person makes one mistake, and that's probably all that happened is one little mistake, and it caused a big one.
I didn't see anything happen. I saw the 24 car get sideways, you know, going into turn 3, and you're just kind of hanging on whenever that happens. I tried to get to the inside of him, but then the guys behind you are all trying to do the same thing. So I don't know. It's really unfortunate that you make it to this level of racing and that you can't make 5 laps without everybody wrecking each other. So it's pretty frustrating.
Yeah, but here's the fortunate part. The safer barriers were installed, and as they repaired them, those were the ones that made sure we didn't have any serious injuries among the drivers. Now we're back green flag racing again, and we go 4 wide, 3 wide around these curves approaching 200 miles an hour.
Well, I get upset when these drivers are saying, you know, it's unfortunate. Damn it, this is what this is about. This is Daytona and Talladega. It's the best racing of the year. And, you know, the drivers make the mistakes, not the fans. That's why these fans come. I enjoy this racing, as we see here. Now, if all the drivers use their head as we're seeing, it's the best racing we've seen all year long.
So here's a tough break for Michael Waltrip, one of the best drivers at this track. In fact, it's his best track, and here he goes for a ride.
Well, what Michael does here is he cuts down on his own teammate, and as he does, that is Michael's fault. And as he cuts down, he gets caught in the left rear corner. Thank the good Lord, he does not hit anything. He goes on and keeps racing. But that was just a driver error. Michael Waltrip cut down on the 47. Bam, he spun out.
Now, this is not an instant replay. It's just another car doing almost exactly the same thing. Look at Michael Waltrip's tire tracks.
And you know what Kurt Busch said, wow, it's really dirty up there. He just spun out all by himself. Nobody hit him. You know, see, the safer barriers keep a lot of dirt. He goes high, he spins that. Now, once like Michael, look, he's following Michael Waltrip's black marks on the racetrack. And luckily, they both save it, do a great job. And great drivers, like they are, riding around on a left front flat, hoping to get to pit road without tearing the fender off.
And here's another thing about those two incidents. Both of those drivers did a great job to save their cars, keep them off the wall, and they came back and they were contending on the lead lap until things got even crazier here at Talladega, if you can believe that. Now, folks, if you come here and buy a ticket, don't leave until everything is over, because you're not going to believe what happened towards the end of this race. Right now, it looks like this one's going to be in the hands of one of the regulars here at Talladega. Maybe Dale Jr., maybe somebody else, but in the end, it was a surprise winner. Join Steve Burns, Michael Waltrip, and Chad Knaus for a complete recap of the Sprint Cup race at Talladega. You also don't want to miss a sneak preview at Michael Waltrip's cameo in the sitcom My Name is Earl. Get all the behind the scenes, plus Michael's thoughts on his experience Monday on This Week in NASCAR. Well, let's pick the action back up with lap number 76 here at Talladega. Business was picking up on the racetrack, and also we had some guys already sent to the house.
You know, the big thing here, Johnny, is that nobody has established themselves, Kenny, as a dominant car. We've seen so many different guys get up leading and passing.
And I think the biggest thing we've seen today was when two cars would get together. Look at Dale Jr. Now, race fans, look, the 42 Juan Pablo, Dale Jr. This happened. This is how Brad Keselowski challenged for the win. Wait later to see the highlights, but see this? Two-car breakaways that we haven't seen in 20 years at Talladega.
And they would pull away, Kenny, at extreme distances. Not just 3 or 4 car lengths. You would see them pull away as far as 20 car lengths. Pretty interesting effect I saw today there. You're right.
And these drivers were definitely up on the wheel. Take a look at the 88 and a slick little bit of driving going into one. It's a little loose, but he saved it.
I know, but there's a 77, the 09 of 77 Horner, 09 of Keselowski. A lot of new players in this mix right here, up in the front, guys.
Talladega is the home of upsets. We've seen Phil Parsons, Kenny Schrader, Bobby Hillin Jr. We've seen great drivers win here. They got their first wins of their career.
Their only wins.
Their only wins. This is what Talladega's all about. Look at the 09 challenge for the win. He said,
Junior.
I'm going to block Junior, my car owner.
That's awful brave for Brad Keselowski in the 09, but you see Dale Earnhardt Jr. holding a pretty wheel there. As Kyle Busch comes out on the outside to him, Kyle would figure into this thing and lock up the most laps led a little later.
And, you know, here again, David Rudman right there, Joey Logano in the Home Depot car running strong. This is what I like about Talladega. A lot of different players as the day progressed. This was not a race that you sat and said, who's going to be the leader, because you never knew.
Bump drafting going on here, Kenny Wallace.
And I'm going to tell you what, now see how Mikey does it? He gets away with it, but boy, it wiggled that 17 car. You do that a little bit harder than what Mikey did, you're going to see a big wreck. And, of course, Mikey did it right and didn't get him too sideways, but you do see how sideways that 17 got.
So a couple of lines of traffic going on here. Watch a couple of cars take off as the 31 of Jeff Burton got hooked up with the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And fans, this is what I was talking about earlier, Kenny and I. Look at this, fans. This is incredible. Now Jeff Burton is right, dead on, pushing. They're pulling away from this whole pack of cars. It's very strange, Kenny.
Fox TV said they were going 6 to 10 mile an hour, depending what to. Race fans, 6 to 10 mile an hour faster than the rest of the field. What we've never seen this before. Why this race?
We've seen those brake rotors come off before, if that's actually what that was. That was a hunk of metal that hit a car, Carl Edwards' car, I believe, and flew up into the stands, or not in the stands there, in the backstretch. Now, 18 was able to, Kyle Busch was able to win the race off of pit road, but not very far in front of Martin Truex Jr. and Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, and here we started seeing a lot of strategy come into effect. 2 tires, 4 tires, you know, a lot of things coming in. They know the laps are winding down, John.
All right, bumper to bumper and toe to toe here as Denny Hamlin's behind Brian Vickers, and then Hamlin falls in behind Kyle Busch, and now we have another 2-car breakaway, looks like.
Yeah, you know, here it is, a situation where Kyle Busch is, you know what, he has to figure a way to stop them from getting and breaking away, and what he does is he puts a block on Vickers and ends up coming back leading this race.
Same thing will happen to the 6. Kyle Busch sends him right up the racetrack, and as we've seen before earlier in the day, that was a tough place to be, and David Reagan handled it very well.
And I'd like to say, David Reagan, all he was wanting to do was follow somebody. That's how you lose the draft. You're running second, and look at David Reagan. I mean, he gets dropped, kicked.
5 wide.
5, 1, 2, 3, 5 wide. You're right, Spence. That's crazy.
We got to give a shout out here to Elliott Sadler in the number 19. Brad Keselowski's giving him a push, but this team is looking for some bright spots, and they saw it today as Elliott Sadler led a lot of laps.
Yeah, you know, he was involved in that first wreck, and
made it through.
Didn't have a lot of damage, made it through, and ends up leading the race at this point. So that team, Richard Petty Motorsports, needed a shot in arm. This is a good shot for Elliott Sadler and that team.
Here we go again. The two people that get together, just all going on all day long.
So this should tell you one thing right now. This race is anybody's to win. We've seen a ton of different leaders in a ton of different ways.
And that's the thing that's strange, Johnny, is now that what you have to understand, these drivers are collecting this data. They're saying, what are these guys doing? What is happening here? I need to start collecting this to figure out what happens at the end of this race.
Debris, that is from the caution light on the backstretch.
Whoa.
Never know where it's going to come from.
California. So NASCAR is thinking they needed a caution. They pushed the button and the caution light falls apart.
There's no button on the caution light.
You know, they say there's voodoo at Talladega because this is an old airstrip. If you ever get above this racetrack, an old airstrip. So Mike Joy on Fox said there's a voodoo at this racetrack.
Voodoo was magic, though, for one team.
But you know what's interesting? Buddy Baker, first time I ever came here, I was racing with Buddy Baker, and he told me that this is an Indian burial grounds. You know what? The Indian won today.
Oh, Mikasuki.
How about that? Well, we'll work on all kinds of conspiracy theories a little bit later on, but we'll also break down the final laps of this race. Don't go anywhere. They were wild, to say the least, and they were even wild by Talladega standards. So stick around, everybody. Checkered flag coming up next. Brad Keselowski in the 09 car has won his first ever Sprint Cup race, and man, was it a tough row to hoe at the end of this race here at Talladega Superspeedway. They say strange things happen here at Talladega. Well, we also see many first-time winners, and we saw another one today. Let's go back to green flag racing. After all kind of wrecking was going on the racetrack, we got a single file on top, but one car dropping down to the low side, and it looks like at this point, some of the drivers are starting to put their nose out front. It's going to stay there.
Well, the thing is, Johnny, now there's not a lot of laps left here. There's 20-some laps to go, and they're saying, okay, what do we got to do? Here's Junior pushing the 18. Now, you know, these two guys, Kyle's won both Daytona and Talladega, and so is Junior. So, you know, these guys know what they got to do. They get to the front.
So Kyle Busch is running up front after all kinds of beating and banging early on. It wouldn't happen for long because he had a very fast pack of cars behind him.
And look at here. You think, okay, they're going to follow the 18. Matt says, nope, I'm going to go out. Now, the 31 car, Jeff Burton, was 3 laps down. And look at here. Right, and this is what happens. Pushes him into the corner a little too hard, and you don't know when it's going to happen. You get away with it a lap before, a lap later, he spins out.
And this is the big one here, fans. You know, Jeff Burton definitely smacks into the back of 18 here. And as he does, you think that, okay, it looks like it's going to be a single-car wreck. Well, Martin Truex gets hit from behind. And as this thing starts to develop, the 11, the 12, the 41, a bunch of cars get involved in this wreck.
Always a chain reaction at Talladega, and as this 18 car did everything, the driver did everything in his power to try to save that thing because he was up front running for a win.
Yeah, that's the big thing here, you know, and you know that there's not many laps left, and these guys are saying, I need to get this track position, need to get this track position. And Kyle Busch doesn't want to give it up, but you know, Burton, when he does that, he says, I'm not giving up either. And in turn, the 18 car can't hang on to it, Johnny, and in turn, he gets spun out.
All right, so we're riding along in the freight train we're hooked up with here. A couple of great cars. Carl Edwards is in the back here as we take a look at he barely gets by the spinning Martin Truex Jr. and continues on
but that wouldn't be the case for several cars in the back there. Tough break for Truex Jr. because he was running so well throughout the day, but wasn't able to finish.
Now, you saw David Reagan just couldn't get his car slowed down as quick as Martin, and he ends up collecting Martin in that wreck.
So we had a whole lot of racing still to go on and a whole lot of wrecking as well as we get to the final laps of this Talladega shootout with Matt the Brat Kenseth. Not a lot of bright spots on the horizon for the number 17 since the win at Daytona.
And here we think, okay, we're going to make it to the end. And nope, Juan Pablo, as we see later on, all types of uses, Juan Pablo gets turned left, and the second big one happened. Watch Juan. Boom, there he goes across. And they all start out. Now it's total chaos. Look at Robbie Gordon on the inside.
Incredible hit by Robbie Gordon, Kenny, because if he were to hit about 10 feet down the line, there would not have been a safer barrier there.
Because of Jeff Gordon's wreck at Vegas
look at this
or
hit.
Kansas City. Yes, safer barriers. People go,
Thank
why do you need
goodness.
safer barriers there?
That's why.
Save that man's life.
You were right at Vegas, Kenny. I'm sorry.
All right, so we got cars spinning on the infield. Let's go to the last lap, and this was a barn burner. You see Carl Edwards getting the push from Brad Keselowski with Ryan Newman, and Carl Edwards goes airborne. Brad Keselowski comes around and takes the checkered flag in just his 5th start in the Sprint Cup Series. A huge win on a huge racetrack. And we tell you, fans, these races are not over until it is over. And this one certainly was not, as Carl Edwards goes airborne. Thank goodness Carl is okay. Reminiscent of Bobby Allison back in 1987. But he's taking another look at exactly how it went on. Brad Keselowski goes down low, holding his line, and here comes Carl Edwards.
And if the 09 gets pushed down below the yellow line, what we saw the 78 at the last year with Regan Smith, he does not win the race. Brad Keselowski does the right thing. He holds his line here, fans. Unfortunately, it is a mess, but he does the right thing. NASCAR says if you go below the yellow line, you lose. Well, he doesn't go below the yellow line. He ends up winning this race.
So a huge victory for this 09 team, and improbable as everybody was pretty much stunned as they looked on. But the most excited guy right now in Talladega has to be Brad Keselowski. When we come back, we will talk to the big winner of the day. Post-race tech is going on, and post-race celebration as well. Talladega can be the place that dreams are made of. So many young drivers have gotten their first victory here, and add another one to that list. 25-year-old Brad Keselowski from Rochester Hills, Michigan, is now a winner in the Sprint Cup ranks. As the celebrating goes on all over this racetrack for this young driver, he is now here with us. Brad, congratulations. Way to go, man. And you know what? You're in the All-Star race.
How about that, man? How about that?
In your wildest dreams, did you think you'd be sitting here with us tonight?
Man, you don't know. You don't know. I mean, it's only with 2 years ago, I didn't even think I'd be in NASCAR anymore. And here I am in Victory Lane in a cup race with a part-time team. Don't even have a full-time job. No idea what I'm doing next year. I'm just living in the moment and enjoying every second of it. Mom and Dad, I know you're watching, and this is it. Gets no better than this.
It's one hell of a moment to live in, isn't it, guys?
I wish they were here. I really do. But I know they're back on TV watching and probably all excited. But, man, this is cool. And I sure hope the fans enjoy this because, man, this is NASCAR racing, and it's still cool. And that it doesn't get any better than this. I mean, I don't know what. Yes. How does racing get any better than this, man?
It doesn't. Now, I got to say this to you. I want you to explain the last lap here to the fans. Here it comes.
Well, I had Carl there engaged on the, I don't know if you want to call it draft locked or whatever name you want to come up with it. And we had it run. I knew we had to clear the 39. And we cleared him right here, just barely. I said, all right, I got him. I know that I can get to the tribal and make my move now. And I waited, patient. Don't want to make the move too early. Didn't want to make it too early. And
are you looking in your mirror right now?
I looked for a split second and said, we got them guys. And I was just watching Carl and knowing that I couldn't get off of him. I had to stay right up tight to him. And I hadn't lifted. I went the last 4 laps without lifting on Carl's bumper. I was watching the water and oil temp because it was out the roof, and that Hendrick engine, it held. And that was the key right there. All right, right here, I said, I got to make a move high. As soon as he moved up, I knew I had to bottom. And he turned down. I said, I'm holding my lefts on this yellow line. As soon as he turned down, we made contact. I said, I'm holding my wheel straight. And he kept going. He kept spinning across my nose. I mean, Carl knew I was going to make the move low. He turned left. The key thing is he turned left, and I didn't turn right. I just held the line. And when he turned left, I had to make a move. I couldn't just go down on the line. When he made contact with me, it pushed me up a little bit. But I didn't make a right-hand turn. He made a left-hand turn across me. And I had to hold that line. That's the rule. We saw the race last year and saw the results, and I was not going to do the same thing. I'm going to win a race, by golly.
But Brad, you don't have to make an excuse, okay? What you did was the right thing. You held your line. NASCAR says no racing below the yellow line, so you did the right thing. It was racing for the win, so don't make an excuse. And Carl was trying to win too, so it was a hell of a finish.
It was awesome. First of all, the new goatee. Hey, and you're from Michigan, so I teased you about it a little bit at introduction yesterday. So
I think it's working. What do you think?
Hey,
working?
You're Kid Rock. Up and down the block. And hey, I'm just absolutely stunned. Where do you go from now? I say you go straight to Cup, having a good time with this. I mean, we're all stunned. This place is dead silent right now.
I don't know. I mean, you guys probably know better than I do. I mean, this is a part-time deal for me. I don't even know what I'm doing next year. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have anything figured out. I really don't. I have no idea.
Okay,
and, I know this can't hurt. I hope
God, no.
I hope the right
Certainly
sponsors
not.
are watching because you know, a lot of it is dependent on sponsorship and finding the right sponsor and aligning with the right teams. But I have no idea where we go from here. But I'm living in the moment, and right now it's pretty cool.
Quickly, are you and Dale Jr. as tight as we would think? We would think since you're with Junior, your career's set. True or false?
I think we're pretty cool. I mean, I talked to him right before the race about this move right here and asked him, man, can I do that? Can I make that happen without blah, 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 blah happening? And man, without his help, I couldn't have won this race without his advice. And I think he was happier for me than anyone else. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and you know, watch this here. Junior, this is after the race. Junior spins you out here. I mean, he that excited for you?
That's a friendly spin.
That's what I mean.
That's a friendly spin. Man, that's pretty cool, dude.
Because he also came up and kicked in the butt. that was a friendly kick in the butt.
That was you know, I need a kick in the butt.
Here comes, boom.
Hey, isn't it? I've been fortunate being good friends with James and drove for him in a lot of races. He is a different car owner, isn't he? I mean, he just loves this sport.
He's here because he wants to be here. James doesn't have to be here. He's here because he lives for this moment right here to see his car in victory lane. And he's been in Cup for a little while and hasn't got to share that and that joy and to be the guy to give it to him. Wow, I can't believe it. I'm just amazed.
Brad,
well deserved.
Congratulations, man. Well deserved. You are a
Thank
Sprint
you.
Cup winner, and
how about that?
Ever take that away?
What an awesome Chevrolet, and man, thanks for all those fans that are out there watching. We couldn't do this without your support, and there are a whole bunch of them. I think you got the best show we can give you. NASCAR racing is still cool.
Yep. Congratulations to James Finch and Brad Keselowski. They got the win. It is time now for our Valvoline protecting the win moment of the race. And guess who turned it in? It was Brad Keselowski as he held his line going down there. He could have gone lower, but he did the exact right thing, held it off, and also held off Carl Edwards as he gets his first career victory after just 5 starts. Well, because of the bad weather out in Kansas, the NASCAR Camping World tailgaters will take to the track tomorrow at 11 o'clock Eastern Time for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 250. It is live exclusively on Speed, so we suggest you be there. Now, as a result of the wreck on the final lap here at this Aaron's 499 at the Talladega Superspeedway, we understand that medical personnel was dispatched to the grandstand. We do not know the extent of any injuries as of right now, but stay tuned to Speed, and we will keep you up to date on what actually happened in the grandstand after that wreck as you take a look at the catch fence was damaged as a result of that last lap wreck. Now, one of the good things that's happened on the last lap was that Dale Earnhardt Jr., to the delight of the fans, was able to go low, avoid the wrecking cars, and come in for a second-place finish to his protege of Brad Keselowski. Let's go to Bob Dillner.
Talladega, always very exciting. He's trying to knock my feet out from underneath me, but Dale Earnhardt Jr., very good run. But let's first talk about that finish because, man, from your vantage point, that was spectacular. Good thing Carl is okay.
Yeah, I'm glad. That was, you know, a real vicious-looking crash, and I'm glad Carl's okay. I couldn't see what happened, how it started or anything. I couldn't see nothing through Ryan's car. And I just said, you know, to my spotter, I said, tell me what they're doing. I don't want to run into them for wrecking because I won't be able to see it in time. And he said, they're wrecking. So stay low, stay in the gas, and that's what we did. And we're lucky to finish second. I thought me and Ryan had the perfect strategy, and I was really dedicated to help him at least come into the tribal like the guys that ended up racing for the lead. And I thought that was just going to be between us. And Brad did an amazing job, and it's pretty impressive, man. So he's going to enjoy this. I'm so proud of him, proud of his whole team. And James Finch is an awesome guy. He deserves this. And only at Talladega.
This is pretty cool, not just from Brad's standpoint, because obviously you have a lot to deal with Brad Keselowski, but James Finch is kind of like one of those old school teams coming into victory lane.
Yeah, a lot of fans really don't know much about James and don't really know what kind of guy he is, but he's a real good friend of mine, and I've known him and his crew chief for years, and through my father, and they're great friends with Rick, and we all get together quite a bit, so he's the funnest guy to be around if you got some time off, and hopefully we'll all find a party tonight.
Go catch your breath, man.
All right, dude.
Good job for Dale Earnhardt Jr. here today at Talladega.
I would like to go one step further, what James Finch did to win this race with Brad Keselowski. Single car team, but let's make it clear right here on NASCAR Victory Lane. James Finch took a shortcut. He's a very wealthy man out of Florida in the construction business. He called up Rick Hendricks. He said, Rick, got to make a deal with you. Rick said, okay. Hendrick Motorsports gave them a car and motor. So this is why the 09 was up to speed. The 09 also, the other driver in the Nationwide Series is Mike Bliss. This is a man that loves to go to victory lane. But Spence, you go buy a Hendricks car. I mean, there was a shortcut to this victory lane, not taking anything away from him, but he did the right thing and went got first-class equipment.
No, and that's the big thing, Kenny. You know, in this sport today, the best thing you can do is end up going to, if you want a Ford, you go to a Roush. If you want a Chrysler product, you go to either a Penske or a JPM, Richard Petty. The thing is here, fans, that's what this car has done. I'm just excited about this car. With NASCAR implementing this car of tomorrow that we're currently racing in the Sprint Cup, you can be a car owner. All you got to do is register at NASCAR, go to Hendrick or whatever, put your money up, you can buy a car.
They're going to quit selling them, though, now.
And you also got...
Because of the day, JR, they're going to quit selling them.
Yeah, I know that was a good car.
Yeah, because the Hendricks car beat Junior for second.
You got to have the guy driving it, and this time we had Brad Keselowski behind the wheel, and he is now among the ranks of the Sprint Cup winners. Got to take another break here on NASCAR Victory Lane, but we want to remind you that Friday on Speed, NASCAR races into Richmond. Don't miss NASCAR Sprint Cup practice at noon, 11 p.m. It's the ultimate Friday night house party, NASCAR trackside. NASCAR on Speed, be there, presented by Advance Auto Parts. Keep the wheels turning. The Catch the Race, Catch the Cash All-Star Sweepstakes is going on now on Speed. Just answer this question by logging on to speedtv.com, and you could qualify to win today's prize. And don't forget to watch the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race on May 16th at 7 Eastern for your chance to win $25 grand in cold hard cash. Log on to speedtv.com today and register for the Catch to the Race, Catch the Cash All-Star Sweepstakes. Well, here at Talladega, Ryan Newman had a chance to win the sweepstakes twice. He had a shot at the nationwide victory and a shot at the win today, but still, nonetheless, a great points day for Ryan Newman as he came home third. Let's go back to Bob Dillner.
Crazy finish to the end of the race. Ryan Newman leading with 1 lap to go, and then all hell broke loose, basically. You wind up hitting Carl Edwards. Scary, scary incident.
It was. I mean, I saw his left rear tire. I read Goodyear really good because it hit me right in the windshield, and unfortunately for him, it got this car airborne even more. But just doing what we had to do to try to win the race, and Junior was very honorable, kept pushing me, and tried to put a little block on the 99 and 09 when they were coming. But you know, either way, we were destined to finish in the top 5, with the exception of Carl, who didn't cross the start-finish line. Well, his car didn't cross the start-finish line, but it was a good finish for the prelude to the Dream U.S. Army Chevrolet and guys at Haas Automation. Appreciate their help, and just another product of Talladega.
Man, looking at it with 2 laps to go, 1 lap to go even, it looked like you were destined to battle Junior for the win. Just a surprise to you that they came up on the outside like that?
Those guys came out of nowhere. I mean, I was pedal to the metal, and that's all I had. And Junior was pushing me the best he could. And we kind of had a rehearsal from yesterday, or yesterday's rehearsal, tried to play out today, and it just still didn't work out quite right. But either way, it was fun, but it was also scary, man. You never want to see cars, especially 2 days in a row, get airborne like that, and especially when they start headed towards the grandstands.
I was going to say, you know, a lot of mixed emotions right now, especially, you know, with stuff possibly going into the grandstand and so forth. How is that as a driver? You know, what are you thinking about right now and so forth?
Well, it's tough. I mean, you never want to see that happen in any kind of racing. I mean, I know it does. I've seen it on TV. I've seen it on the internet. You know, it happens. It's part of racing. But and you kind of assume that. You assume that when you go to a hockey game that there's a chance of a flying puck. You assume that there's a chance of a flying baseball at a baseball game. So, I mean, the assumption is there could be parts flying in the grandstands. But, you know, we pray that doesn't happen to anybody.
All right, Ryan Newman, good top 5 for him here today, and we hope everybody's okay.
Well, certainly hope everybody's okay. Ryan Newman's okay after that. Carl Edwards is okay after that. But still, a third-place finish for this team. Now, guys, Ryan Newman was looking for a big bright spot, and he got it.
Spence, race fans, this was a huge victory for Ryan Newman. Even though he did not win the race, remember, he's had a lot of bad luck. Rough start to the year. Third place, almost maximum points. So this is really going to vault this team up into the points. And Ryan Newman needed this third-place finish, even though he felt like he had a shot at winning.
And also, you know, we didn't comment enough on Junior getting second. So, you know, the thing is that those two guys needed this solid run, and they got it today, Newman and Junior.
So as we take a look at the finishing order, we got to say this is one of the strangest finishing orders we've seen in a long time. And also, they call these results unofficial for a reason. We have to look back and look at this thing. Wow.
Well,
that's all we can say.
Keselowski's first top 10, a win. You know, Marcus Ambrose's first top 5. You know, Joey Logano's first top 10. Kenny, very strange top 10.
Hey, let me say something about Scott Speed. This might have put him close to the top 35 in the points.
All right, you got Brian Vickers also in the top 10 as well. 11th place for Reed Sorensen.
Yeah, David Reagan running a lot better than that. Ends up 12th. Now we're starting to get into some of these guys. Nemechek, you know, what a good run for him. Regan Smith. Fans, this is incredible. These guys, you don't see a lot of the favorites up there.
You know something about Regan Smith? He still has finished every race he's ever started in Sprint Cup competition.
And Michael Waltrip in that wreck. Denny Hamlin, Tony Stewart had a transmission problem. Carl Edwards, you know, that's a shame. Leading the race, ends up 24.
Martin Truex Jr., 33rd, is not indicative of where he ran all day.
No, and you know, I think right here, Johnny, we're starting to see the collection of the wrecks. You know what, fans? If you don't like Talladega, I'm sorry, but I love it. I think it's part of this sport.
And Mark Martin from winner to 43rd place. What a difficult sport this is. It happens.
That's Talladega, baby. I mean, that's the way it is. You come here, you say, what am I going to do? Am I going to race for the win, or am I going to try to finish it? He tried to race for the win.
Very impressive. Jeff Gordon, very unimpressive. Going from the last 2 weeks, a big point lead to 5 points behind Kurt Busch, Kenny.
Jeff Gordon,
good year for Kurt Busch right now.
Jeff Gordon has lost 160 points in 2 weeks.
Hey, and like you guys said, that's Talladega. Now, no one was better at Talladega than Dale Earnhardt Sr., winning here 10 times. But he also scored a big victory back at the All-Star race at Lowe's Motor Speedway in 1990.
It was one of those tracks where he really got it with some of his early starts, and it was a special place, and especially with the family and all your friends there, all the guys you grew up with and everything. And same with myself. When we race at Charlotte, you feel like it's your home track.
And Dale Earnhardt moves out in front, being chased by Waltrip. Allison drops back to 3rd place.
Yeah, you know, I used to tell him, I say, bring me the steering wheel back, and I know you're okay. And that's where he drove that race, you know. And there, you know, you could go out and just run it as hard as you could. And if you made it, you won it. You know, 2nd place wasn't worth even being there for. It was all about winning the race.
Earnhardt sees the checkered flag and takes the $200,000. He's led every lap.
When he got in that car, he didn't think he could be beat. And I think that was the difference that we had. We had a driver in there that when he strapped in, he knew he was going to be the guy to beat that day.
Celebrating 25 years of All-Star memories. Don't miss the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race on Speed, Saturday, May 16th, 7 p.m. Eastern. NASCAR on Speed. Be there.
And the Sprint All-Star Race is Saturday, May 16th from Lowe's. It's the most spectacular All-Star event in all of sports. Tickets start at just $25. Call 800-455-FANS or go to Lowe'sMotorspeedway.com.
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge, Recreate, Hibernate, and brought to you in part by KFC. Stop on Monday, April 27th for a free piece of new Kentucky Grilled Chicken.
Join Steve Burns, Michael Waltrip, and Chad Knaus for a complete recap of the Sprint Cup race at Talladega. You also don't want to miss a sneak peek at Michael Waltrip's cameo on the sitcom My Name is Earl. Get all the behind the scenes plus Michael's thoughts on the experience Monday on This Week in NASCAR, 8 Eastern only on Speed. Now, how much of a competitor is Carl Edwards? He goes through one of the most vicious wrecks we've seen in a long time, but you know, he's a runner and a competitor, so he decides to run across the start-finish line to make sure he actually finishes the race, even without the car. But how about Scott Speed? He had his car and himself inside the car. He didn't have to run across the finish line and came home with a top 5 finish. This is huge for this race team. So let's go back to Bob Dillner.
Chaos at the end of this one, as usual, but Scott Speed looks like you got a top 5 finish. How about that?
Oh, yeah, craziness, right? I mean, look at the top 10. You look at the scoreboard, you're like, what? There's a couple of us up there that are not normally there. So, I mean, it's great for our team. It was a great points day for us. The last I heard, Carl was okay. That's the most important. I mean, that thing was crazy. That was a gnarly flip. So, you know, I hope that he stays okay. And, yeah, it was a great points day for us.
What'd you think when you're coming to the start-finish line there and you saw him upside down and all over the place?
Well, I mean, not to be selfish, I was mostly thinking about how to miss him. And then after, I thought, man, I hope he's okay. So it was a spectacular finish for sure. I'm sure the fans enjoyed it.
You overcome something today, a little bit of a debacle at the beginning of the race, coming down pit road and stuff. So good signs for the team to come back from something like that.
Yeah, honestly, the race worked out really lucky for us the whole time. You know, we put ourselves out of the crash there. And I think the one friend I got out there, Kyle, who was a lap down, ended up being right behind me with 5 to go. And I mean, that's what pushed us up to the front. So, I mean, it was just a race that worked out for us. So, lucky.
And Marco said a big thank you to you, too, because you pushed him a little bit there and helped him out.
Yeah, we were all trying to just stick together on the bottom, man.
First timers in the top 5, Scott Speed. How about that in Cup competition?
Yeah, Bob, thanks a lot. We can say how about that to a lot of things that went on today. For the race fan, there's a lot to digest after this one, guys. Marcus Ambrose had a great finish, Scott Speed, and then also you got to look forward to Richmond.
Well, I think what the fans have to look forward to, we saw another guy added to the Sprint All-Star race today. Brad, we're going to Richmond next week, and then Darlington, Kenny. We can add 2 more guys to the Sprint All-Star race, which is one of my favorites of the year.
Total drama at Talladega. Stay tuned to Speed, the truck race. Tomorrow, the All-Star race is coming up. Richmond, baby, we're going back short tracking.
Yeah, man. Now, you guys remember when you won your first race. All right. How excited is Brad Keselowski right now?
Well, he won't be able to sleep tonight, John.
That's a good kind of not being
that
able to sleep.
excited.
Yeah. So congratulations to that team. What a great job by James Finch and Brad Keselowski to win this thing today. And you never want to leave one of these races until all is said and done, especially at Talladega. Thanks for coming along for the ride, everybody. Let's look in the rearview mirror.
When it comes to NASCAR racing, it just doesn't get any bigger.
Talladega is very much like America. It's the biggest, it's the best, and nowhere else in the world has it.
We've got a great crowd with us here. I love the hat, by the way. You know where we're at, right? It's a lot of chicken, a lot of boats. That's you're looking good, baby, right there. I'm taking these, and Spencer, you're not getting any, baby. They're all mine.
Never above shameless plugging.
Go number 1 for Matt Kansas. Stay on all 4. Matt was unhurt, but that was a wild ride. You all know how to get around here. Man, let a boat drive. Hell, man, that's what it's all about. Nailed it, Dave. She's big, and she's bad, and she's bold, and she's fast. Let's go Talladega racing, boys. Here we go, 8, 9, 10 cars. What do you think? Is that good? I don't know. What do y'all think? Danger lurks around every corner. Can Keselowski try to win it? Is Edwards going? Oh, no! He turns it! No! No!
It's the first time I flipped in a race car.
Ever?
Yeah, that's it. So we got that out of the way.
Keselowski won this race. Shades of Ricky Bobby. Wow. Pinch me. I don't know. Am I awake? And that's the good stuff, my friends.